Welcome to the Builders Podcast, episode 46. Meet Bridget Willard. Her journey, mental health challenges, finding your why, branding, and social media. Before we jump into this episode, please subscribe to this podcast, give us a thumbs up or a like, and share if we've earned it. With your help, we can reach more people and deliver these valuable from the trenches lessons to those that need it. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everyone. We're here today with Bridget Willard.
Hi.
Bridget and I met on Twitter. Or she was following me, I was following her, or somehow that happened, and see each other's tweets. She saw one of my tweets about the podcast. She said, I know some people would love to be on that podcast. She referred a couple people who are going to be on the podcast. And then I was like, what about you?
And I was like,
how about Bridget?
I'll do it.
Sure.
I love being on podcasts. I have plenty of opinions on a variety of topics, so we can just riff.
Just go all afternoon. Yeah, we'll break it into parts. Yeah, I don't think we're going to have a problem talking today. Which is really good. So for a living or a business, you do marketing or something for people.
Yeah. If you couldn't tell by the birds, I do, Twitter is my specialty.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm a marketing consultant for fintech, big tech, big data, WordPress. It's a range from I'm either coaching you or writing for you or managing LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. Nice. And also feeding them with ideas, connecting my clients with people who can have them on podcasts. You know.
Fantastic. Yeah, that actually works out pretty good. And you're doing a good service for people.
Thank you.
So the first thing, if anyone listening has never listened to this podcast before, I like when I first have somebody on, I want to learn a little bit about their background, how they ended up where they are today, if they're entrepreneur or in business, like how that happened, why, what preceded it, who influenced you, kind of how did you become this person you are today? So I'm going to ask you that.
It was a dark and stormy night on December 7th, 1972, when my parents got married because my mom was pregnant with me. Dun, dun, dun.
Wow. Yeah, let's go all the way back.
Thanks a lot, parents, for getting married on Pearl Harbor Day. Like, that is like the beginning of the tragedy of my life.
It set the pace for everything else. Right?
It set the tonality. And it's part of my dark sense of humor. No, for real. I was always a high achiever. My sister had my dad's genius level IQ. Well, she still has it. He's no longer living. And I decided that my mom worked in the hospitality industry for a long time in the kitchen. She was a sous chef. And so, of course, when I was able to work, I'm like, try out to be a busboy. So you have to be coordinated for that. Mm-hmm. After, I think, a week, I realized I needed to learn typing. That the waitress, busboy, kitchen rat was not going to be the right one for me. Plus, I don't know why, but Cheerios seem to always be something that you're cleaning up, even if you're not serving it. Parents.
Cheerios?
Yeah, bring your kids to the restaurant. You bring Cheerios with them to keep them. You got to keep that blood sugar maintained so that you can keep their behavior in check. Gotcha. And I was just like, yeah, I'm over this. So, and I tried to be a maid too, but I got kind of like pushed out of that. So I took office careers. We had a thing in high school back in the day called Regional Occupational Program, ROP. So I took 3 years of that. And I worked at the Navy Postgraduate School in the Department of Mechanical Engineering in Monterey. I worked at Brooks Cole Publishing. as a secretary. I was filling in for somebody, right? But who was on maternity leave. Well, then they didn't have enough work for me. So then I started working in another department, scanning in graphs and pixel by pixel fixing them. Had I had an Apple, a Macintosh at that time, so this is 1991, because that's when I graduated. So now you know I'm 48. But so if I had a Macintosh computer at that time, they would have kept me on while I was in college. And I could have worked remotely in 1991.
Oh,
I
really?
know, because I was really good at cleaning up those graphs because I'm good at detail. And like, I'm no Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere person. Fast forward to like this week, and I applied to teach social media at the Alamo Junior College here. And because I am not proficient at Adobe Premiere, which they forgot the last E on, by the way, I am disqualified, their word, disqualified from teaching social media. Well, it's been paying the rent since 2009, so whatever, dude. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so bizarre working. So anyway, I was basically a secretary. I went to school to be a teacher.
Oh, you
A
did?
school teacher,
Okay.
yes. I taught 1 year, junior high and high school math, 7th grade to algebra 2. Loved the classroom, had no problem with the students. Parents are the worst.
Oh,
If I knew how bad it was working with parents, I would have never been a teacher. But I changed my major in college 3 times, 3 to 5 times. I don't even know. At first I was like, I'm going to be a businesswoman. You know, I always played Office. That was my role-playing game. And I would stamp
Really?
things. Yeah, when I was a little kid. And I taught
That's
my
perfect.
sister to read from the Mother Goose fairy tale book, the black and white one. So, I mean, I was nerdy and, you know, into stuff like that. So I didn't realize that my personality, like, had things been different in my upbringing, I would have been an engineer. I would have been steered into engineering, because I had this moment, Matt, where I was like, I'm over this. I can't deal with these parents. I took a career aptitude personality test that combined, you know, everything about you, what you like, what everything is like that, you know, 20 engineering jobs. Then I'm like an office manager, accounting person in a general contractor, you know, and we're sending all these drawings to a structural engineer. No, they always have work. Like, had I thought about, like, you know, pursuing that, I could have. At the time, I was thinking, oh, I'll teach algebra in junior college. So this is like when I was 30 something. I'm like, man, I have to have a master's in math. And I have all this math that I'm not, you know, that I haven't taken. It would have taken me until I was 40 years old, but I could have done it.
you'd be there now. Yeah.
I'd be there now if at the time, if my employer at the time would have allowed me to take my lunch period when I could have taken the classes, but they never fit. I was trying to fit them in after work or something like that. It just never worked. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going back to college. This year, I moved to Texas in 2020 in September. And then I thought, you know, maybe, you know, people don't like me for some reason, which I can't figure out why people don't like me. Because I work really hard at being likable, but whatever, fuck off. I don't what are you going to do? Like, you know what I mean?
Wait a minute. That might be our first swear word on this podcast.
Yes, I'm a winner.
I'm going to highlight that in the show notes.
I just thought that would be funny. I don't know why people don't like me. F off. You know, because you're in your 30s, you're like, oh, I want people to like me. I want people to like me. And then when you're in your 40s, you're just like, but I am my best self, and it's okay if people don't like me.
True. Yeah.
So I thought maybe I was autistic on the spectrum. So my sister-in-law gave me some money to go get tested. I'm not. I just have post-traumatic stress disorder from a bad childhood and a bad marriage.
Okay.
It's just PTSD. It's not autism.
Yeah. Okay. Well, at least you figured it out. I'm afraid to take any test. I'm sure I would be somewhere on some spectrum somewhere. I'm not
along-
sure. I think it's better not to know.
No, it is better not to know. And let me tell you why. So I have general anxiety disorder, depression, and PTSD. So I was disqualified from term life insurance, 10-year term life insurance from AAA.
Oh, so you
I'm
had
like,
to report.
oh, so you
they
guys
found out
are-
about that.
Well, because they ask you, you have to do these health
Yeah.
questions. Like that, you're going to get life insurance if you're going to die in 2 months, right? And I'm like, I'm so literal. I answer the question. Oh yeah. Have you been diagnosed with anything? Yes. You know, and then that was in the letter. I'm like, oh, okay. So that means your actuaries are betting that I'm going to die by 58. Well, guess what? My grandmother was 101. So you lost the money from me, buddy. I just put it in a savings account instead.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me about actuaries and all that stuff. I was in the insurance business for a few years.
Right? I mean, I know they're betting. They're betting I'm going to die before 58.
Yeah.
I'm betting I'm going to die after 58.
They're looking at the pure numbers. They don't care about you personally. They're not going to ask you any more questions. It's just that surface level.
Right. So being denied for term 10, I only wanted it just in case I died
tough,
so that, you know, like, so my writers would still have work. It was about keeping my business alive.
More of a
I
business,
don't care. Yeah, I don't own a house. I don't need life insurance. I don't have a spouse. Like, suck it, AAA.
Yeah. Okay. Suck it.
Suck it,
AAA. So let's go back. I want to rewind.
Don't ask me an open-ended question, Matt. That's the moral of the story.
No, I do it strategically. I want to let you just open up and talk and tell me all of it. I could be your you're not laying down in a chair. I'm not your psychologist. I'm not gonna.
Right.
No. No, but one of the things that's intriguing, I feel like I've been on a similar path, until my 40s. I'm 50, so I've,
48. Whoop.
been around. But I have my early years, especially my 20s and 30s. It would be a long laundry list of things I tried and failed at. And, from sales jobs, I mean, I was a bartender for most of my 20s trying to be an artist. I got into internet marketing. I've done, and as soon as I made a decision to go into web development design, that's when things started turning around for me or stabilized. But it's that journey of just trial and error and just, you were discovering things along the way. It's like, that's not for me. That's not for me. No, can't deal with that. I'm very curious about the parents. Like, what was it about parents that just because they were so angry about
so
things?
when you have a job, you have one boss, maybe three, right? And,
yes.
and you're failing. You know what that person's expectations are, and you can kind of study for the test, so to speak.
Right.
When you have 60 students in a private Christian school,
gotcha.
You have 120 plus parents, and their parenting flaws are exposed in the communication process. For example, I had a student, a 7th grade student. Okay, first of all, let's talk about mathematics and arithmetic. Mathematics starts at algebra. Everything before that is arithmetic. Once you have an X, that's algebra, it's logic, and that's where mathematics begins. Everything before that is 7 plus 4 equals 11, and there's only so many ways you can do that kind of stuff. So this whole pre-algebra ridiculousness is so stupid. You're either doing algebra or you're not doing algebra. It's binary, whatever. So this 7th grader comes in my class, and we're doing Saxon math, and some people don't like that curriculum. I think it's fantastic. And he's getting D's on the tests. And his parent was like, I can't believe I didn't know my kid was failing. And I'm like, I can't believe that you haven't asked your child to turn in the test. I can't believe that he was not failing last year and doing the same kind of problems. He's all of a sudden failing. I feel like you're not paying attention to your kid, and that's not my problem. But being the helpful person who wants to be liked, I had math lab. Tuesday and Thursday, I'll stay after, I'll tutor you for free. Did they come? No, because they had other priorities, not learning. And then I started no, if you got a C or below, that test had to be turned back in, signed by your parents. Now I had to do a bunch of extra work because you aren't involved in your child's life. Not my problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they'd be like, you're too hard. I was the first person to give a detention. And I was detention queen from day one. You don't talk when I'm talking. That's not acceptable. I am this teacher. I'll call on you. But, you want to continue with the infractions. I'm 1, 2, 3 detention. 1, 2 detention. That's it. Yeah. This is that you have to have structure in a class. And then, I only have 15, 20 minutes of stuff I'm telling you. Then it's guided practice. So keep your mouth shut and let's do the work. And I was super good. I'm Reader's Digesting it for you. I didn't say that to the kids,
but in those exact words.
No, but that's the reality. And then there was all these political issues with other teachers. And I'm like, hey, if that teacher is wrong, and then it was a Christian school and we taught devotions first. And the chaplain of the school was I was teaching correct theology and he was questioning my theology. So he was teaching things that weren't right. So my kids, I had math, so I had everybody. So, in chapel, my kids would be like, Mrs. Willard said, da 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 da.
Oh,
and they're
no.
and he's like, well, that's not true. And they said, well, it's this verse and such. Cause I always told them.
You gave them the proof to
that's what math is. That's what theology is.
Yeah.
That's what law is. It's all facts.
It makes sense.
Right?
Yeah, right.
It's facts if you accept them, but it's a framework, right? So I would say, don't believe me. Go look it up yourself. Look it up right now. I'm all about curiosity and fostering that. You need to figure it out. Now, I've totally lapsed as a Christian. I believe in Jesus, but I'm not living like that, as you heard earlier with my cuss bomb. And I'm just saying, but that was, I was not equipped in my young 30s to deal with contentious, conniving, disruptive Christian people. It completely threw me. And I was like, whatever. The city shut us down because we weren't zoned correctly. Good job, pastor, for not figuring that out. And I stayed on as a church secretary. And then when we got laid off, because my husband's the children's pastor, when we got laid off, I just I found a job at a roofing company doing secretarial work. And I tried to work at a public school, but I never got hired. It just never happened. Besides, they were at that time, they were paying $27,000. Okay, I need to earn more money than that. I earned more money doing the trade that I went to college not to do.
Yeah, right.
And even when I left, and that's why I'm very good at being a secretary. I have no problem being a secretary. It wasn't like I found something that I wasn't, that I was doing. I did that for 30 years. It's not that and accounting, I just say secretary, but, office management, accounting, super good at accounting and collections, very good at it. And I would go back to it if I could afford to have that salary. But I knew, because my husband was so much older than me, my late husband, I knew I needed to work at home, one, because I knew caretaking was in my future. And two, I knew that I was at the top of my salary for that career. Right. The only way to earn more money, because I sold my time. I sold 40 hours a week for $39,500 a year. I sold it. And so with commuting and lunch, that's 11 hours gone out of my day. And there was no possible way for me to earn more money during those 11 hours unless I did side work. So I started doing side work and got a job at Thought House, which is was an advertising agency in San Diego, and our client was Give, WP, along with other people. We were mostly in franchise development, Paul Davis, Win Home Inspection, sport clips, that kind of thing. And then I went on my own in 2017, and here I is.
Yeah. So you knew you had to work at home or wanted to work at home, and that was one thing. But also that kind of lifts the ceiling. You can now work for yourself. The only limit is what you're capable of doing now.
Right. So I'm always fast. Like I said, at Brooks Cole, at the Naval Postgraduate School, at every job I've had, I've replaced 2 or 3 people because I'm very good at what I do. I take in information. I get my work done. I mean, that's on my mug that Rhonda made me do the work. That's like everybody wants the dream. They don't want to do the work, and then they wonder why it's not happening. Yeah. I was the sole provider during 95% of my 23-year marriage. So it was on me to bring home the bacon. And when the bacon wasn't enough, I needed to change careers. I mean, in some ways, I actually did, when I was getting tested for autism, I was thinking, well, maybe I need to not be in marketing, and maybe I should just get my master's in accounting and be a CPA, because I would kill at that. I would kill at it so hard. But we found out that there's no reason for me to change my career, because I'm very good at my career. I'm good at whatever I do because I don't do things that I'm not good at. You know what I'm not good at? Being a busboy. Well, I mean, people would say, well, okay, but that's also a limitation. And let me tell you why. Because, I was so afraid of doing things and afraid of failing, that I wouldn't do them. And then people would say, you're so good at everything you do, because I don't do things I'm not good at. I tried salsa. I'm terrible at it. No, I'm out.
You're not afraid of trying. You soon figure out, this is not for me.
Like this year, I tried training for a 5K. It's not serving my purpose. My purpose for exercise is not losing weight. And I realized, why did I want to do it? I wanted to do it because my husband said I couldn't. That's a stupid reason.
Yeah, I had a kind of it's a late midlife crisis. In my late 40s, I started working out again because I was feeling like I was getting out of breath. A lot way too soon. Go to the state fair and I'm winded by the time we're done. And I have to take a nap for a few hours. And so I started working out.
No funnel cakes for you.
No more. Yeah, funnel cakes. They're good.
Good. I'm not hungry.
I started working out, and then of course I'm the type of person that just can't just do something a little. I'm like, well, I might as well just try to be as strong as I've ever been in my life. So when I'm hit my 50s, I'm in better shape than I've ever been. So I started pumping myself up, and I started lifting weights, and I'm like, I am going to do I'm deadlifting. I'm going to see how big these muscles can be in my late 40s.
Okay.
And
Four surgeries later.
After doing that for a year or two. Well, COVID kind of put a kibosh on that a little bit because the gyms closed down. But I think it did, after that kind of comes the realization, if I do, start working out again, which I hope to do soon, that maybe some strength training, but maybe let's not go too overboard, try to injure myself. I'm sure I got a hernia out of that whole situation. And I'm not, it's like in my 50s, at 50 years old, I feel great. But I realize by learning from others that you may feel great, but your body is going to be less able to manage all those things.
Entropy. It's all about entropy. Everything goes from order to disorder. It's the second law of thermodynamics, and you cannot change it. So, I'm with you on that. But like my fitness goals are I'm already getting arthritis. I have the witchy, deformed finger, from rheumatoid arthritis that runs in our family. Right. But I just want to be able to open a jar and not fall in the shower. Those are my fitness goals. If I'm going to live to 101,
yeah.
I just don't want it to like break my hip. Like let's do some yoga. I walk to clear my head. I do my diet, like to lose weight. I just reduce my calories. It's just math. It doesn't really matter. Like, I'm sorry. I hate to break it to everybody, but it's math.
Yeah. No.
I resisted it. I resisted all those things. Now I eat 12 to 1,400 calories a day. And guess what? I lost weight and like I'm keeping it off. Whoa.
Well, everyone's different. Everyone's got a kind of different physiology or, the different bodies.
No, for me, I know for my body type though.
But, right.
And I was just like, what?
It was that easy?
Yeah, it really was.
No, I mean, I think we have to do what, can create our best life. If you feel good,
right.
And you're able to get up in the morning with some energy, get through the day. There's a lot of trainers out there and stuff, especially online, where do this, get pumped up, go. But we don't all need to do that. We just need to figure out what we need to do.
Yeah, just like marketing, it has to fit your goal, right? Yeah. So like to me, and I just sent an email marketing about this, like it's about trusting an expert, finding an expert, and then trusting what they say and stop being so damn stubborn, which I know I'm very good at. Remember I said, I don't do things I'm not good at. I'm good at ruminating. I'm good at like, you know what I mean? Like I want that on my LinkedIn as a skill. Like, so that's the thing is like, for me, I started Noom and because, I wanted to figure this out and I knew it'd work for some people. And what it's based on cognitive behavioral therapy. Hello, PTSD lady over here. I was mistaking my anxiety that sits in my stomach for hunger. I asked myself when I feel like that, there's three things like, do I have to poop? Am I hungry? Or is it anxiety? It's one of those three things, and they're completely different, but they're all down there. And so I would just eat because I had so much anxiety. So that was really the reason why. But that's not funny. What's funny it's just math. You know what I mean? Math. I like to be funny. Like that's my goal in life.
Yeah, it all breaks down. Well, that's interesting because it is you have to identify. It's a personal thing. You have to identify what's going on with you.
That was my problem.
One answer.
Yeah. And that's the self-awareness piece, right? So like, what are your goals? What do you want? I want to not fall in the shower. So therefore I do yoga. I want to have strong hands and arms. I don't play piano and guitar anymore. So like I lost a lot in my arms. So I'm lifting weights. 12 minutes is better than 0 minutes, Right. So what are your business goals? That's like, what we talk about this stuff in marketing, and then we think it doesn't apply to all life. It all goes on the rubric of what your goal is. And the problem I see with most business owners is they're so scatterbrained. They're all over the place. They don't know what they want. I mean, I literally went to a psychologist, a diagnostician, a psychiatrist who diagnoses adult autism. Because I wanted to know if it was prudent for me to change my career. That fit my life and my business goals. When she was like, no, you're good at this. This is your thing. I'm like, okay, I'm doubling down on me. I'm doubling down on my business, and that fits my life. And this is what I want out of it.
That's why it's important to know yourself. I'm reading, probably everybody's read it by now. Simon Sinek, his Start With
Why. I am so in love with him. You don't even know. I got to meet him. I went to book signing, and there's a selfie, and he's the reason why I knew I would want to get married again.
Really?
Yeah.
Good.
Anyway.
Yeah, I've seen him. I've seen him off and on for years. He's all over social media, and stuff,
right.
or like TED Talks or whatever he did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's kind of, I don't know. I wasn't too sure about him. There's a lot of people out there just talking. But reading that book, though, I mean, he really, it's real. I don't know why it took me so long to read it. I guess because I was kind of end of the year here. I'm looking at my business and what am I doing next year? One of the things I really want to define our why more. We have a why, but I want to really make it obvious. But anyway, I think that kind of ties into what we're talking about. You have to know yourself. You have to know what you're all about, what your goals are. And that's why, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you, working out? Why are you building this business? And why are you building in the way you are? There's so many, obviously, angles to that. But that's interesting. Well, all of this stuff, like everything you're talking about here, and your analytic, go get it, go getness. I don't know. I just made that up on the fly. You'll go getness. Go getter.
Yeah, I'm a go getter.
Yeah, you're obviously motivated, but you have this analytical kind of like. It sounds like you're perfect for what you're doing. I think that all translates to. You talk about going to become a CPA or something or whatever, but like
I wasn't offered the
marketing,
trophy wife position. That's why. Okay, like it's fear. I am a single woman. I have no other choice. And even during my marriage, I was the breadwinner. I had no choice. I've been taking care of my.
You have a choice, or other people would choose just to give up, or just. Not. Well, I mean, you're still something in you is motivating you and inspiring you to move forward.
I have to leave a legacy. I have to leave a legacy. So I will tell you, like most comedians, I have mental illness, as I mentioned. February 15th, 2020, I drove myself to the ER because I didn't want to live anymore.
Oh.
There was no reason for me to live. There's no reason on paper. I have no family. My in-laws decided that I should just get married again after my husband died 5 years ago. I immediately stopped getting invitations to all family events, like I got divorced. Yeah, wow. Nice Christian family. Okay. Now, some of my nieces still talk to me, and like my stepdaughter, my grandchildren, they all just stopped talking to me. Like I never existed. Like I didn't change diapers and cut fingernails and wash their hair and take them to taekwondo, ballet, soccer, sew their costumes. Like I helped my stepdaughter raise her children. And then I was nothing. And
wait, because you got divorced?
Because he died. He died. He died of stage 4 kidney failure, heart attack, dialysis, diabetes, complications from diabetes. But it was stage 4 kidney failure.
But how does that translate to everything else happening?
They decided that I should just get married again. The entire family stopped talking to me.
Until you get, this doesn't make it. I mean, families are messed up. My family is not exactly perfect. My wife's family.
No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And so, and I was struggling so hard. I was working just to work the way it was when I was telling you about being a secretary. I just worked, and then I would, come home and go to sleep and eat and take the dogs out and go to work. And I was working from home, and I was still doing that. And then it just got harder and harder. I've had some, with success on the internet, you also have people thinking that you're a monster on the internet, which happened last year and earlier this year. Yeah, I'm a monster. Just go find people talking shit about me. They're all over the place. I'm a racist. I'm all kinds of things. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, people don't like me. They don't like me, but there's people that really want to ruin my career. I can't stop them. I'm not responsible for that. But really, it was horrible. Like, my friends were not good friends anymore. They weren't really supportive people. And I knew that it was a culmination of, like, I objectively knew that having a hysterectomy and, affected, and being on those supplements affected the effectiveness of my antidepressant medication. And I wasn't sleeping. It was horrible. It was so horrible. I knew I needed to be So when I left, I was only there for 6 hours. They didn't keep me. They said, oh, you need to sleep. So I've been on trazodone ever since. I'm loud and proud about Cymbalta and trazodone. I'm never getting off of it. And the people that tell me you should just take CBD can pound sand. So the thing is, like, during that follow-up meeting with my psychiatrist, she said, okay, so what are some reasons to live? And I couldn't think of any. She just waited. Well, most people say my kid, my dog, my house, my business. I had nothing. I had no family. When I went to my therapist and I told her this, she was like, wait, so are you telling me you have no family? I said, yes, that's what I'm telling you. Because I'm not close to my mom and sister. We're working on that now. We're working on that. But like at the time, you know, and she goes, wow, I need therapy. And I'm like, not professional. It's not about, you know what I mean? Like, but I said, okay, so I had to like start with why, you know, I had to go, well, I like helping people.
Yeah.
Then she goes, okay, I like to travel. Okay. Right. So I turned that into publishing 5 books last year. Wow. Taking and reframing I have no family to, I'm a free agent. I sold or donated everything that didn't fit into my 2020 Civic and moved to San Antonio, Texas with only those things.
Started over.
Yes. And it's the best thing I ever did because I needed to be away from the ghosts. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, part of it was fitting in with my goals, which is lowering my cost of living, which is down 35%, and changing my life where I wasn't around Mercier's friends and family, and as a pastor and everybody knowing that it's just ghosts of people, a parade of people who decided to not participate in my life. It was just literally too depressing. So I got stabilized. And, you know, I still have dark moments, but I have tools now where I'm like, I'm stable. But I talk about it because people think, oh, you're so motivated. Yes, because I didn't want to live. It's really that simple. I had to find something. I had to have a legacy. When you don't have children and you don't, like literally, except for my last name and some pictures on Facebook, there is no evidence I was married for 23 years. There's no business. There's no kids because I miscarried and I'm infertile. And there's no house. I have nothing from that marriage. Physical.
Yeah.
Right? So then it felt like it didn't exist. And I didn't want to be like, oh, so are you single? I'm widowed. You know, that's not a good way to start a conversation. So then I felt like I was erasing this giant chunk of my life. Right? Yeah. Instead, I'm like, that's who I was. That's part of who I am now. Right. I wouldn't be who I am now. And that's I like who I am.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, this is, I feel like when I'm listening to you, I feel like this could be very inspiring for a lot of people.
I want people, that's why I talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, because, I can look at my life too. I've had conversations. I don't suffer from anything that I know of, except being a little off the wall sometimes, probably, but and I laugh a lot. But no, I've had conversations with like, oh, I wish I would have done this or wish I would have done that with my life. I have a lot of regrets, but at the same time, somebody told me, a friend told me, he's like, you know what? It's all okay because it made you who you are today. You have experiences. You have a collection of experiences that make you unique, that you can pull from. And starting today, you can build on that, and so it becomes your unique advantage in life, having those experiences, but it's also important to have, like, you were ready to give up. Now I can't relate to that either. But at the same time, I've had times in my life where it's like, where am I going next, and what am I doing, but it's important to find you somehow find your way to somebody that could help you and, figure out your why and all that stuff. And because that's out there, even if you're feeling right now, you're feeling like giving up, there's nothing to live for. There's always you may feel that, but if you seek it out,
Right.
and you ask for help, it's out there.
It's hard to ask for help because it doesn't make any sense. It defies logic. We think that we can, now cognitive behavioral therapy helps you, like in the moment, you have these tools where you practice, just like anything. You practice like noticing, oh, okay, wait a second, stop, drop, and roll, But even on Monday in therapy, I was like, well, if I suck at my career, then who am I? Because that's all I have left. I'm not a wife. I'm not a mom. I'm not a grandma. I'm not a musician. She goes, you're all those things. They're just not the priority right now, because who you are doesn't change just because you don't have that job title. You know what I mean? And that's the perspective that I'm getting, because I am so black and white, so literal, that I'm very good at it. That's not a good thing to be good at, though, right? Because the nuance of life is completely different. And the truth is that I have curated a family that matters. Like my sister-in-law, I call her my sister-in-law. She's the sister-in-law of my sister-in-law. We're technically not related, but like we chose each other as family. My best friends, I chose them as family. I've curated a family where there was none, right? And we all care for one another. And so I have I've rebuilt my life. I feel like I'm Madonna all the time, rebuilding my career, keeping it fresh, and I'm in a super good place, for all things. But it didn't happen just because, okay? These dark or low times or career pivots or, especially at our age group, we still have good 20 years of, 15 to 25 years of work, of revenue producing years, right? So we think, we're too old. And that's something that I worry about. Ageism is a real problem. It's a real problem in tech.
Yeah, I think about it too. Like I hope, like I feel like I'm like kind of my last, my big effort at the end of a career or business, because I know, like, I don't know what shape I'm going to be in 10 years or 20 years, or I'm hoping I'm still, sharp and whatever, and can run a business. Cause I think it's a weird thing in my life. Like, I'm a pretty simple person. Like, I don't need a lot in my life, and I don't have, like, I'm not religious. I'm agnostic. So I have a religion. I grew up Lutheran, but I'm kind of neutral in every aspect you can think of.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like pretty boring, but this is who I am. And, but at this stage, so my life actually revolves around my business, because I love this podcast because I love talking to people that are also passionate about business and life, and have worked through problems like that, and inspiring people. I love that aspect of it. I love talking business, marketing, and I'm kind of a nerd. Like, I don't really have much else. This is my thing,
Yeah, but we have to stop demonizing people who like work. We get rewarded. I feel very rewarded when, like, a client emails me and says, "Oh my gosh, thanks for hooking me up with another one of my clients." And literally one of my clients said, "Your clients are making babies," because I'm a people broker. I match people up together, and then they do something. Yeah. Yes. And that's when the Grinch's heart grows as three more sizes.
Well, see, that's your why, though,
That's
right?
my why. That's my why.
And I mean, that's what I've figured out in even very recently. Like, what is it yes, I like business. Yes, I like marketing. Yes, I like helping clients, but I like helping people. And I feel like there's this cascading effect. Like, I'm helping a business do better business, improve their website, maintain their site, keep it up. Whatever I do, or build them awesome, or design something awesome for them. That's going to make their business better. That's going to make their lives better. That's going to make their employees' lives better. Their employees' lives, families are going to be better, because it all just trickle down effect. Yeah. And that's how I feel about. That's kind of my why. Is I'm here helping people, which will trickle down to helping hopefully a lot of people. And
that's rewarding.
Figuring that out. Yeah. That's important.
It's emotionally rewarding, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're not workaholics. Yeah. I mean, yesterday I sat on the couch. I had a horrible headache, and I watched the history of comedy all day long.
All day long.
Who cares? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, I do that too. I like sometimes you just, especially if you have a busy few days or something, it's like, okay, I'm just going to take a few hours, do what Matt wants to do for a couple hours, just disappear. No one will know.
It doesn't matter because we're not trading time anymore, Matt. That's the thing. We're not trading time. Exactly. We're getting paid for the scope of work.
Yeah. I feel like we've only scratched the surface here. I'm going to end with something though, because we were going to talk about Twitter and stuff. We'll save that for another time.
Oh yeah, that's boring.
that's a whole other can of worms. But so I was looking at your website today. I just was kind of peeking around what's Bridget all about. And actually, I had looked at it a little while ago, but I revisited it. And there's a theme on that page. It's all about basically alcohol and bars, and you're using that kind of as an analogy for what you're doing.
Hospitality.
And I'm very curious now why you chose that branding. What did you take? Is there something that influenced you or some?
100%. 100%. First of all, Rhonda Nagard from FatDogCreatives.com has been designing my website for years now. And before it was all milk and cookies because I'm like DIY and I love cooking. There were like soft reds and, muted pastels. It was very feminine. Okay. And I said, it was time for us to redo my site because, we do it every 18-ish months. And I was like, okay, I feel like my client base is 95% male and my website is very feminine. So I went through her branding process. Literally. And she goes,
all guys love bourbon.
I love bourbon. I love bourbon, scotch, rye, that's me. Yeah. Okay. And that's the truth. And that social media is about hospitality. Let's go have a drink, coffee, water, tea, bourbon. It doesn't matter. But so there was something of me. So we tapped into the more masculine side of me, cause my girlfriends used to be like, you drink like an old man, Bridget. I'm like, whatever. You know what I mean? Who cares? That's what I like. But we've got in the earthy tones because I do organic social media.
Nice.
I don't do automation and all that stuff. So let's sit down, let's have a conversation, let's get to know people. That's what we're doing on social media. We're bringing people to your brand. We're making them feel comfortable on your website. We're making it easy for them to engage with you. That's why people meet at bars or pubs. Yeah. I used to joke that at Hennessy's and Dana Point, I was like Norm. I sit at the corner, just like on Cheers. I had all the good lines, and everybody was glad to see me. Everybody knew my name. Right? Hey, Bridget, how you doing? That's what we're doing with brand awareness on social media marketing. I call it marketing instead of management because I come up with the strategy. We want them to think of you. Copying, Xerox. Search, Google. Tissue, Kleenex. WooCommerce plugins. Who do you think of?
Plugins.
What company?
Well, Automatic.
There you go. So you want that connection. Yeah. Hosting, Kinsta. Right. Who are you thinking of?
Right.
That's the brand awareness piece.
Interesting.
But it's the hospitality that helps gather them, right? Yeah. And they're comfortable. They're going to make a decision because we purchase because of our lizard brain. And then we do research to justify an emotional decision. So I always say affinity leads to loyalty. Loyalty leads to sales. Affinity is that feeling, when you have a connection with a person, then you see the logo, then you have that feeling, that emotional attachment. We make emotional decisions. I'm all about human behavior, and creating that hospitality online It's the same.
Great. Yeah. I can really, it resonates with me because I was a bartender in my 20s for almost 8-10 years. I was a full-time bartender. And I had that. I worked in a dive bar most of that time, and had our regulars. And I feel like sometimes I maybe my personality kind of, that kind of reflected in my personality online. I'm just kind of happy-go-lucky, Let's all get together. Let's, and that's how I feel about everything.
What are bartenders doing though, Matt? They're facilitating conversation.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
What am I doing online? I'm facilitating conversation. And during consults, when you're having that one-on-one with your bartender, it's like therapy. And repeatedly, over and over, when I have my marketing consults with CEOs and executives, they say, wow, this was like therapy. I'm like, right, because I have to get you to understand how and what you're doing to be in your own way and get you out of your own way. It is therapy.
Yeah.
Just like bartender.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's
and
awesome.
How great,
okay.
And how great is it when people know your drink? You walk in, they know your drink, right? And so how great is it when somebody sees a tweet and says, how's your dog doing? Because I remembered you have a dog.
Yeah, that's true. Right. I mean, if you learn about others and you talk to them like a friend, one of the things, with the bar I worked in Mequon, Wisconsin. The bar's not there. They tore it down now. But it was a really interesting location because it was a dive bar, but Mequon's a very rich area. The per capita income there is ridiculous. It's in the 6 figures average. But there was a college there, and there was also this other, there was a manufacturing area over here. And so we had this collection of people that I had at this bar. I would have a guy, I don't know why we knew he was worth 30 million. Maybe he said he was, but people knew that he was worth a lot of money. And he'd be sitting next to some guy out of work. And then they got the college students over here, and they're all just talking and having fun, doing shots, shaking dice. And that's how I feel it could be.
Level playing field. That's what Twitter does. So, I mean, for the next topic.
Brings everybody together. Yeah. That's why I love social media. But again, there's so much more we talk about there.
That's another podcast. Hey, Bridget, stop talking.
No, like I said, we just keep talking. We'll just cut this up. I'll have to get a drink or something.
No, I got to get my nails. They're getting too long. I tried to do the girl thing, but I type for a living. I'm like, I can't stand this. Cut them off.
So if somebody wants to find you, where do they find you? Where's your websites? Where do you live online?
BridgetWillard.com, Bridget M. Willard on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Bridget Willard. Bridget Willard as a Google search, Bridget Willard on YouTube. I'm around. I'm easy to find. 15 pages deep on a Google search last time I checked.
Yes. That's awesome when you can say, just Google me.
Well, yeah.
That's why it's good to have a semi-unique name that's not too popular. So have some famous person.
There's other Bridget Willards in San Antonio, Texas, because this is the 7th largest city in the United States. But I'm more voluminous. On the internet, it's about volume. You have to be louder.
Okay, that's the lesson we'll leave with. Well, thanks for coming on. It was a real pleasure talking with you. We'll have you on again, I hope, someday. You take care.
You too.
That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. If you want to comment on this podcast or provide me with requests on topics for future episodes, please find your way to thebuilders.fm. You can contact me there or add a comment under these show notes. Now a word from our sponsor, Unified Web Design. That's my agency. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you're interested in our services or looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top. Fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.